The Patriots are now 0-2 to start their season after losing to the Miami Dolphins tonight in Sunday Night Football. I'm Meredith Gorman, joined by our Nesson Patriots beat reporter, Zach Cox. Zach, another game where the Patriots started out really slowly. They tried to come back, but couldn't do it. What did you make of how the offense played?
It was inconsistent. Again, there's just too many mistakes so far. Last week, you had the Mac Jones pick six, the Ezekiel Elliott fumble. This week, you have the Demario Douglas fumble. You have the Mac Jones interception to Devontae Parker in the second half. It's another game that followed a very similar script to what we saw in the Patriots game against the Philadelphia Eagles last week. They ended up losing that game by 5. They ended up losing this game by 7. Both of them had second half, fourth quarter comebacks. Both of them, Patriots had the ball with the chance to either win or tie late, and they weren't able to get that done. It's a concerning start. There are certainly some positives you can take away from it, but the fact that these first two games have followed the same frustrating script is a problem, and it certainly led to a pretty dour locker room post-game. The least optimistic I've seen in quite a while, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. You walk into the locker room, Mac Jones had his head in his hands with a towel over his head. It just seemed like a feeling of defeat. But what was the mood in the locker room in terms of what players were saying about how they plan to bounce back from this start to the season?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that Matthew Judon, who speaks at the podium after every Patriots game, he wanted to make a statement before he even took any questions. He said, basically the gist of it was, Patriots are not a bad team. They're not an uncompetitive team. They are not a team that's just going to kind of roll over when things get tough, which has been evident in these last two games. Again, they've come back in the second half in both of these. But he said they just have to start quicker. As you mentioned, they've played really poorly for long stretches in the first half in both of these games. They need to limit the mistakes, and they need to put themselves in a position where they don't have to win in these close games right around the margins. And that's basically the general sentiment that we got from most of the players that we talked to tonight, that they need to stop putting themselves in a situation where they need to convert a fourth down at the end of the game, or they need to kind of have a game-winning drive. You would like them to be able to do that at some point. But yeah, they need to stop leaving themselves such little margin for error.
And I know one of the things that we talked about before the game, we saw it during the game, was that thinness that the Patriots are facing right now on the offensive line. We heard David Andrews say after the game that every guy needs to take those reps at practice, be ready to go, because things like this happen in every team across the league. But when you look at what happened with the Patriots tonight, the defense seemed to give them a lot of opportunities where they could have scored, and it just seemed like they couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a perfect game for the defense either. I thought they defended the Dolphins' talented offense pretty well. They essentially played kind of a bend but don't break, keep everything in front of you type of game plan. They had a couple breakdowns in the red zone, but overall, that offense only scoring 24 points. That's a decent result for the Patriots defense. But yeah, the offense needs to get something together, so especially up front. They got two of their starters back in this game, in Cole Strange and Micah Wenu. Did not have left tackle Trent Brown. I thought they had some issues at both tackle spots. This was a rough night for Calvin Anderson. Really had a hard time with Andrew Van Ginkel, the Dolphins edge rusher. Vidarian Lowe, their other tackle, also allowed a sack late. This was the first start of his NFL career. He only joined the Patriots 2 or 3 weeks ago, very, very late in the summer. Micah Wenu ended up coming off the field late in the game for Antonio Mafi. We don't know if that was an injury issue or a benching or something else. But the Patriots need to figure things out up front. I think that's their biggest issue right now. They haven't been able to run the ball consistently at all in these two games, and they're not protecting Mac Jones consistently enough either. Their Bill O'Brien offense is not going to be able to reach the potential that it clearly has if they can't fix things up front.
Absolutely. And now the Patriots are getting ready for their first road trip of the year, heading to New York. Look, they haven't even started practicing yet ahead of that game, but without Aaron Rodgers, do you think this will be a good litmus test, at least for them to go up against another divisional team and see how they shake out after this one?
Well, you would think from a basic level that this could be a get-right game, because you got Zach Wilson, played really poorly in his first start of the season down in Dallas today. But that Jets team is still very talented. They've got a very good defense. They got some real talent at the offensive skill positions. So we're talking about a Patriots team that has not been able to block and has not played well on the offensive line. The Jets have the players to take advantage of that. And both of the games against the Patriots were very close last year. So I don't think that this is going to be a situation where the Patriots can go in and say, it's Zach Wilson, we're going to beat him by 45 points. There's the opportunity to, their odds of victory, I would say, are significantly higher with Wilson in there than with Aaron Rodgers. But I don't think the Patriots can look at this as any sort of cakewalk, and I don't think they will.
Yeah, Patriots 0-2 to start the season, their worst start since 2001, which I think is something Patriots fans just simply aren't used to around here. But it's a late night here in Foxborough. Zach, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you.
PNC Bank, helping to make banking easier.